Hello, hello, good evening, happy 3 a.m. Good evening. I don't know. Let me go to this first. There, there. Hi. No, no, we're not recording. Damn it. Hi, hello, hello. It's fancy seeing all of you here. All none of you. Okay, no, I'm joking. Hello. As you can see, we've got a bunch of different stuff going on. This isn't going to be normal. I'm just at least for these next two streams, it's gonna be like this. Well, no, it's not. I don't know. Uh, I can't think. I'm sorry. Look, it's been a while, okay, and I apologize. All right, I genuinely apologize. It has been a long time. Like, it's been a while since I was live, and I apologize for that. I wanted to get all this done before, like weeks ago, but I just never got around to it. So, here's how it's gonna go. We're gonna read part two tonight, and we're gonna read part three hopefully tomorrow. Hopefully it doesn't take me too long. Anyway, greetings times. Hello. Uh, with all that said, though, let's do a little recap. All right, we're gonna go here. Let's do a little recap of Let me F12 this. Or is it F11? Oh my gosh, which was it? There we go. No, F11. Yeah, let's F11 this. There we go. Okay, so little recap on this story. I know it says part two, but a little quick recap. I'm going to turn my lights off. I'm about ready to just like go over and turn my other lights off. I can see in the dark just fine. No, bro, it's pretty dark. Okay, anyway, okay. So recap on part one of the story. Essentially, this kid, uh, his name's Aaron or whatever, and essentially, I guess he goes into his basement and he finds a mutant, just like that, and um, then their his great uncle Tom, uh, he comes along and explains everything that's going on, and oh boy, if you thought that the main character was insufferable in part one, oh, you ain't seen nothing yet. Because part two and three, whoo boy, it's like the only bad thing about this story. But maybe instead of telling you that, let's continue. And get these part two and three, get part two and three over with, so I can finally go back to normal streams. I don't know what normal streams are anymore. I haven't streamed in 2 weeks. I apologize. So without further ado, anyone who joins, this is part two of I Was Never Allowed in the Basement. I finally found out why. No, Tom whispered, his face now white as a ghost. The ambulance sirens were growing in volume. We had to go, now. I wasted no time in pushing Tom towards the stairs, poking the gun barrel into his back. Aaron, you need to stop this. I can't go back. You have no idea what's happening. What was happening when we left. We'll die. Tom's voice was almost whining as he pleaded to me. We crossed from the top of the stairs into the threshold of the hallway, and I was shocked to see May's arm had stopped bleeding. She was now laying down in the pool of blood, her long dark hair soaked with crimson. Her breathing was short and shallow, and her eyes were open but still turned into the back of her head, the whites of them facing into the ceiling. Seeing her in this state was painful, and it took everything I had not to stay with her. The only way I could help her now was to keep going with my plan. Your very shitty plan, but a plan nonetheless. I shoved Tom through the hallway and out back door. No, damn it. I shoved Dog, I'm gonna cry. I shoved Tom through the hallway and out the back door towards the shed. His begging had turned into stoic silence. Neither of us said anything as we approached the shed. Every few feet, I had to shove him forward as his feet dragged along. The only sound being the shrill of sirens, louder each second. I looked back towards the house, the front road and driveway not visible from this angle. If I had to guess, they were going to reach the house any second now. My hope was that the ambulance would rush May to the emergency room, and there, the doctors might be able to slow down the virus and buy me some extra time. I stumbled into Tom as he froze like a statue in the doorway, and began to speak. Kid, there's something about all this I haven't told you. The device, it can't correctly account for temporal variance. It was just a prototype, and it never got figured out. You hear me? I'm saying I don't know what year will be coming out. And if against all fucking odds we make it back, I don't know what year it'll be. It'll be here. We got here 5 years after we left in my world. I don't even know for sure if this damn thing still works, and if we'll be going to the right place. You need to stop this before you get us both killed. I'm gonna get another drink. Only to realize that my other drink was beside me the whole time. I hate when this happens. I considered Tom's words for a moment. If what he was saying was true, this whole thing could be less than hopeless. But he could just as easily be lying to avoid going back to his world. I'll take our chances, I told him. No, okay, I'm gonna stop here for a quick sec. No, like, on one hand, I get it, he wants to save his sister, but, like, Tom literally told him that she cannot be saved. She cannot be saved. And I'm not spoiling anything, because I've listened to this before, but, like, considering what happens later in the story, yeah, I think our main character's, I think he might be a bit, full of himself, to put it lightly. Anyway, I'll take our chances, I told him, while simultaneously shoving him the rest of the way into the shed. The orb was still sitting on the work table, now devoid of any color other than the opaque, milky white that seemed to signify the off mode. Hold on. Diggs by the way, 7. Hey, what's good, G? Oh, why, hello. Sorry, I don't have a chat on on here. I don't have a chat here. I can't see the chat here, but I can see it on this. But yes, hello. What's good? Nothing much. How are you? How are you? Welcome to the very late stream. Where was I? Oh yeah. I'm not gonna say it again, Tom. I will fucking shoot you right now to save her. You might be a coward who's not willing to let You might be a coward who's willing to let May die, but I'm not. I won't. I don't want to hurt you. But you need to take us there, now, I exclaimed. Now I could hear voices coming from the house. It wouldn't be long until first responders and police were swarming the property. Tom let out a resigned sigh before picking up the device. When he did so, it came to life and swirled with a beautiful shade of orange that reminded me of a cloudless sunset. Foreign symbols suddenly appeared around the orb, and Tom began tapping them in a sequence. When he seemed to be done, Tom turned to face me. He stood, staring at me for a moment, before looking back at the orb and tapping a few more symbols. Tom removed his hands from the orb, and to my amazement, it hung there, suspended in midair. Last chance, kid. I forcibly dug the gun into Tom's back. Tom said nothing, and placed a finger onto the orb, and gave it a quick spin. The orb swirled with color, and began to spin faster and faster, until it became a blur. The air pressure in the shed changed, and a heat began to emanate from it. The temperature of the room quickly rose. Stand close, kid. When you feel yourself go, expel all the air from your lungs. It ain't fun, and it hurts real bad, Tom told me. I inched slightly closer to the spinning orb, but the heat coming from it felt like it was searing my face. I was beginning to sweat now, and still the orb seemed to spin impossibly faster. A roaring that came everywhere filled my ears, and I felt dizzy. I thought I could hear Tom praying, but the deep roaring was so loud I wasn't sure. Suddenly, every atom in my body screamed with pain. It was like someone was sticking every single bit of my body with white, hot knives and twisting them for good measure. I screamed. My vision started to fade to black, and I exhaled deeply. And then, falling. But I wasn't falling through the air, just falling through nothing. A void. The pain stopped as quickly as it had come, and a sensation of peace filled my being. Blissful nothingness continued. It just went on, falling through an infinity of nothing for eternity. Maybe it went on for seconds, or minutes, or days, or years. Maybe it never happened at all. I remembered where I was. What was happening? I attempted to breathe, but it was like trying to breathe underwater. The calmness that had come over me was replaced with a panic. Finally, just as I thought I'd suffocate, I could feel a breeze gently throwing by me, and I opened my mouth to gulp in the cool air. Impact. My head bounced as my back collided into the ground. The gun I'd been holding was knocked out of my hand, and the world faded to black. Sometime later, I regained consciousness and felt a sharp pain where my head had collided with the ground. I opened my eyes and could see a sunny blue sky above me. The sky seemed a brighter blue than normal, actually. Slowly, I turned my head over and realized that I was laying in the tall grass of a meadow. Surrounding the meadow, there was a thick forest of trees. I sat up, still struggling to take full breaths. Fortunately, though, it didn't feel like I had broken anything. Looking around, I saw Tom lying face first in the tall grass, a few feet away from me, and the orb sat on the ground between us. "Tom?" I asked. My heart began to race as Tom didn't respond. "Tom?" I asked again. Urgency began to fill my voice. I pushed grass out of my face as I crawled closer to him. I flipped him over on his back and began shaking him to no response. Dread began to set in. There was no way I'd be able to survive here without Tom. If he was dead, then I was beyond fucked, and so was May. Suddenly, he groaned and his body shifted slightly. He was alive, thank God. Relief flooded over me as his eyes snapped open. "Jesus, I thought you were dead," I said as I helped him sit up. Might as well be," he muttered. We'll both be dead within the day." He narrowed his icy gaze at me and began to reply before I was cut off by a loud, animalistic howl in the trees at the far side of the meadow, followed by what sounded like running. Tom and I both froze as a gargantuan horse the size of an elephant burst from the trees into the far side of the meadow. I remembered seeing the photo of my papa riding one of these creatures. "We bred him to be much larger here," Tom commented as the horse galloped away. Something wasn't right, though. Oh dear. Sorry, I haven't done this in a while, LeMayo. What spooked it? I wondered aloud. As if on cue, 3 humanoid creatures came crashing into the meadow on all fours, bounding after the horse. My heart sank as I immediately recognized them to be the same type of creature as Jade. These were much larger, though, and seemed to be in much better shape. They howled gleefully as they closed in on their prey. Tom threw his hand over my chest and brought us both back against the ground, trying to hide in the tall grass that surrounded us. He looked at me and brought a finger to his lips, indicating silence, as if I'd dare make a sound right now. We heard the screams of pain that could only be the horse getting caught. It called out in agony for several minutes. I felt terrible, but there was nothing to be done. After what felt like forever, the horse cries finally stopped, and then only the sound of tearing flesh was left. Just as I had started to think that maybe I'd make it out alive, my phone began to buzz in my pocket, and my morning alarm chimed through the air. Oh my god, I hate this character, man. Ah! I had 2 thoughts at the moment. The first was that at least half a day had passed since we'd left. The second thought was that I was going to die right now. Tom looked at me with a mix of fury and terror, and my hands fumbled as I attempted to silence my phone. After several long seconds, I managed to stop the alarm. I turned my head towards where the creatures were, where the creatures had been, and to my dismay, all 3 stood straight up and motionless, staring at me. Their faces were soaked in blood, and they all had a ravenous, predatory look in their eyes. The tallest of them was easily over 9 feet tall, and I cringed as its brown eyes met mine. It opened its mouth in a twisted version of a smile to reveal its long, yellow canines. Suddenly, it began to scream, followed by the other two. The sound was horrid, but just as suddenly as it started, it stopped. It snapped its jaw shut and got back down on all fours, still staring at me. "Fuck," I heard Tom say from behind me. At the sound of Tom's voice, the creatures began sprinting towards us with impossible speed. Their skin bulged with dense muscle as they bounded towards us, thrilled with the notion of fresh prey. I had to agree with Tom. Fuck. Hey, yo, Lucario, how you doing? Yo, it's been a while. Hope you're doing well. Hope you had a good summer. All right, sorry, I lost track. Oh my god. LeMayo. But yeah, no, welcome. Hello, hi. From movies and TV, I had always heard that your life flashes before your eyes when you're about to die. Time supposedly moves down to less than a crawl, and everything you've ever experienced runs through your brain at lightning speed. Maybe as the universe's way of rewarding you for a happy life, letting you live it all one last time, or punishing you if you've lived a bad one. In my case, as the mutant creatures sprinted towards me, Tom and me, at an impossible speed, time did move down to a crawl. However, instead of my entire life replaying, my only thoughts was of my sister, May, lying mutilated and unconscious on the floor of our house, awaiting her inevitable transformation into one of these creatures that was now going to end my life. The creature closest to me had its mouth open, and I could see its long canines were stained red with blood. It was only about 30 meters away now, and I knew outrunning it would be hopeless. But still, humans were products of eons of evolution, and buried deep inside all of us is a survival instinct that kept us alive throughout the history, and will keep you fighting until the very end, even against insurmountable odds, even against 3 impossible monsters whose only purpose was to kill. I jumped up and faced the creatures. "Run! Run!" I screamed to Tom. Glancing over, I saw he was already booking it for the tree line. I didn't have time to see whether he made it, though, because the closest mutant had closed the distance to me. As it lunged towards my neck, I attempted to dive out of the way. By mere inches, I managed to avoid the creature's teeth, and my body slammed into the ground, knocking the air from my lungs. Oh dear. Speaking of knocking air in my lungs, oh my gosh. Yeah, baby. Okay, that's not part of the story. Okay, where was I? Okay. With no time to react, I felt my body being violently hoisted up by my arm. My shoulder ripped out of its socket with a sickening pop as the mutant dangled me in front of its face. I screamed in agony and fear as it brought my head closer to its mouth, which had opened unnaturally wide. Hot, putrid breath filled my screaming mouth, and I could see bits of flesh dangling between its teeth. Behind, behind, behind the one that held me, I could see the other two had reached us and were circling us in excitement. Tom was nowhere to be found. Acting on pure instinct, I did the only thing I could do. I pulled my head back, and then, with all my force I could gather, smashed my forehead into the creature's long nose. Damn it. It was like slamming into concrete. Blood began to pour down my head. Damn it. Blood began to pour down my head, and I saw stars. However, my headbutt had done the trick. The creature let out an annoyed yip and tossed me away from it, sending me careening through the air. I landed face down on the ground, sending yet again another wave of pain through my body. Blood filled my mouth and gushed out of my likely broken nose. Using my good arm, I began to crawl. I felt my hand come into contact with smooth metal, and despite everything, I gave a small smile. A faint sliver of hope started to grow in my mind as my finger closed around the gun that I had dropped when we first arrived. Forgetting the waves of agony that shredded through me every time I moved, I flipped my body over and sent a bullet straight through the mutant that was now towering over me. The bullet ripped through the top of its mouth and exited out its long nose, but it didn't kill it. Instead, the mutant screamed as it reared back to land a blow on me. Before I could shoot again, the creature's head exploded and the sound of what seemed to be thunder crackled through the meadow. Its body dropped lifelessly in front of me. The other two creatures howled at this and glared at me with vicious hatred. I don't know why, stop real quick. I don't know why the creatures would glare at him. It wasn't him who killed him. Anyway. Another deafening boom split through the air, and the mutant closest to me had its arm and majority of its torso blown away. Although they were probably 20 feet away from me, I felt hot blood and bits splatter across my face. Before I could understand what had happened, the other mutant began to sprint away towards the trees, completely forgetting about me. Again, a boom sounded, and the mutant's leg nearly tore off, only held together by strings of flesh. The creature fell forward and rolled, letting out a terrified scream as it began frantically pulling itself towards the tree line. Finally, one more boom rang out, and the mutant dropped dead as a hole the size of a dinner plate appeared in its torso. For a moment, there was an eerie silence that filled the area. I was alive. Tom? Tom! I called out. My voice sounded harsh in the total silence, and blood filled my mouth, making it difficult to speak. The world came alive again as several dark gray figures materialized from the tree line. My heart jumped at the thought of more mutants entering the meadow, but I was quickly relieved once I recognized them to be human. My vision was blurry from the pain and fatigue, but they seemed to be wearing dark gray body armor with helmets that covered their faces. They were distinctly military and almost looked like stormtroopers. Movie reference. Anyway. I would have laughed if I hadn't almost just died. That's so funny. There were about 20 soldiers or so, and most of them were holding what seemed to be gray assault rifle versions of the pistol I had held in my hand. But two of them were holding what looked like a cross between a cannon and a sniper rifle, with a large folding tripod attached to the fronts. Those must be what had made the thundering sound. As the soldiers were closing in on me, I could tell that they were saying something, but I couldn't quite make out what. They stopped several yards away and raised their guns at me. "Put your weapon down, now!" I realized I was still holding the pistol and dropped it to the ground. They kept their guns leveled at me and began to move closer before abruptly stopping again. "Blood on them. Medic up front," the lead soldier called out in a female voice. I noticed she had a black stripe down her shoulder piece. Shit. I had completely forgotten about the creature's blood hitting my face when the soldier had killed it. Terror began to rip through my body as I remembered what Tom told me. The infection spreads with fluids. I was pretty sure none had gotten in my mouth or eyes, but it had all happened so fast. I couldn't be positive. On it. One of the soldiers moved forward from the back. As he approached me, I noticed he was carrying a small duffel bag. The soldier knelt down in front of me, tossing my pistol back towards the others, who were still pointing their guns at me. He opened the bag and removed a small case, which he then flipped open. Inside was the largest syringe I had ever seen, filled with a faintly yellow liquid. Oh boy. Now, I consider myself a fairly brave person, but there's something about needles that's always fucked with me. And this needle was gigantic. I had been silent up until this point, but I'd be damned if someone was just going to jam me with a needle without my permission. What the fuck is that? No fucking way! I yelled, desperately trying to pull away. The soldier didn't respond, and instead I felt his fists collide with my jaw, knocking me onto the ground. Putting all his weight on me, he dug his elbow into my back before I felt the needle pinch into the base of my neck. In my pitiful state, there wasn't much I could do. There wasn't much I could do to fight back. As quickly as it happened, the soldier was off of me, and I laid there in the grass, breathing heavily. "He's clear, ma'am," announced the soldier that had stuck me with the needle. It dawned on me that I may have just been injected with a cure. My mind raced at the possibility of using it for May. I noticed the soldiers had started fanning out a bit and were inspecting the meadow and bodies of the mutants they had killed, although a few had stayed with their guns still on me. I turned towards the soldier that seemed to be in charge. "Thank you for saving me. Please, did you see another man here? My great uncle was with me," and she held up a hand to cut me off. Colonel Bradis of the NUSR. We picked up an energy signature from this location. Tell me what happened here," she commanded in an authoritative voice. I noticed that she had the exact same southern accent as Tom. I opened my mouth to talk, but before closing it again. Despite saving my life moments ago, she didn't seem as though she wanted to help me. I had a strong feeling that I shouldn't be open with her about my origins. "Don't make me say it again," she said in a sinister tone. Before Before I could think of a convincing lie, her attention was drawn away from me and the other soldier. Ma'am. I turned my attention towards the soldier and saw with dismay that he was picking up the orb. The colonel stared at it for a moment before removing her helmet and handing it to the other soldier. I couldn't see her face since her back was to me, but short, blonde hair covered her head. She stared at the orb for a few moments before finally turning around to face me, a ravenous smile plastered across her face. Damn it. Now that I could see her, I would have considered her pretty if she wasn't so fucking terrifying. She was probably in her late 30s, her hair almost a goldish white that I don't think even existed in my universe, and her eyes were a light amber color that bore into my being. Now, just where did you get that? She asked in a clearly fake, sweet voice. I kept my mouth shut, and her fake smile was replaced by a quick flash of anger before she went on. If you believe it, I used to have one of those before I got stolen. Someone took it from me before leaving us all to die almost 10 years ago. He took a few people with him. I'm just wondering where they all got off to. I kept my face emotionless as possible, returning her angry stare with what I had hoped was equal insanity, though I'm sure it wasn't, seeing how fucked up and broken I was. She considered me for a moment before switching back to her overzealous grin, revealing a set of pristine white teeth as she continued on her fake sweet voice. Let's start over. You said you was looking for someone, right? Your great uncle. I think he and I might have some. Let me try that one more time before we end this. Let's start over. You said you was looking for someone, right? Your great uncle. I think he and I might have a few things to talk about. And there we go. Part 3. No, part 2. Wait, what? Only 37 minutes. Oh my gosh. All right. Let's see how long part 3 is. I don't know. I'm trying to think right now. Well, I did promise part 2. So, yeah. For 2 people that came out, I cannot talk tonight. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. To the 2 people that came out tonight, thank you. I guess I'll do part 3 tomorrow night. And I think this is 6 parts. This might be 6 parts. So I might spread this throughout the week. Hopefully, because that's what I wanted to do a few weeks ago, but I never fucking got to it, you know? But so yeah, I think we're done here. Thank you for coming out and listening to me read the second part. Like I said, part 3 will be tomorrow night. Most likely when I get the moment I get, here's what I'm probably thinking. I might do part 3 the moment I get home, because Monday through Friday I work 5 p.m. to 9:30, and depending on the time that I finish part 3 tomorrow night, I'm gonna see how long part 4 is, because depending on the time, I might read both part 3 and 4, We'll see how long part 4 is though first. No, actually, yeah, yeah. I think I might do that. I think I might do that. Yeah, I think I might do that. I'm gonna finish. I'm gonna read part 3 and 4 tomorrow. All right. So I hope I'll see all two of you. Hello. It doesn't really matter, you know. I had fun regardless. It helped because this helps me with my reading comprehension. Because lately, I don't know why, it's like I've been struggling lately. I don't, and it's like I've been good in the past, but it's like it's probably because I don't read like ever. So this is like actually helping me. So anyway, yeah. Thank you for coming out tonight, and tomorrow night, part 3 and 4. And then, if all else goes to plan, part 5 on Thursday, and part 6 on Friday. Or depending on how long part 5 and 6 are, we might just do part 5 and 6 together on Thursday, and we'll hopefully be back to normal streams on Friday. You know, we'll see what happens. Have a good night. I'm gonna go play Katamari Damacy again. Have a good night and take care.